Welcome to Roof It Up. This is a podcast about innovators, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and their stories about the course they took by Saenz Global.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Roof It Up. Today, I'm super excited. We have an incredible leader. I don't know, most of you probably have heard of Reeva. If you have not, you guys need to check it out. But Reeva is incredible, and they have some incredible leaders. And one of them is Mark, and Mark is here with us today. I'm actually going to let Mark share a little bit more about who he is so that you guys can hear it straight from him. But how I met Mark is that we went to their event in Reeva, and we were just blown away. Like, the caliber of professionalism, of leadership is far beyond what I have heard and seen in so many places. So we were so impressed. And when we started our podcast, we're like, we have to get him on. Hopefully he'll say yes. We were super stoked when he did. So we're really happy that you're here, Mark. All right, Mark, if you can share with the audience, a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, would love to hear that.
Sure. Thank you for the kind words, Thais. It was awesome. And I was kind of just telling you earlier that we were so blown away by the impact that you guys had us at in the Orlando event. It seems like forever ago, but it's just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And actually, we were just back in Orlando 2 days ago. And we got out just in time for the hurricane. So it's awesome. But yeah, thank you for your kind words. And so I'm Mark. I started in the roofing industry in 2016. I'm actually a college graduate with education. So it kind of brings me back to where I am now, and we can maybe get into some of that as educating contractors across the country. But yeah, I grew up actually very poor. So my work ethic came from me wanting to be a little bit better than how I grew up. And I grew up with a pretty large size family, and my parents had us at a very young age, and my gosh, the best parents in the world. So we battled through. Actually, my mom graduated college at 32 because she was raising us up until 30, and she finally went to college. So that's kind of where I get some of my passion to be better, because I saw my mom struggle and my dad struggle. And now they're so successful, and it just took them a little bit, because having 3 kids under the age of 3 before they were 21 is pretty powerful. We were just talking about our kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't imagine having 3 kids. I mean, I'm 37 now, and I had my first one at 32, 33. So I don't know how young you were, but my gosh.
Yeah, 29. 30.
Yeah, 29.
Yeah.
So later in life, right? So
right.
That's kind of where I get my urgency to be better always, and maybe some leadership. It was awesome. But yeah, I started with in the roofing industry with Monarch Roofing and Martin Pettigrew. I'm sure a lot of people heard of Martin Pettigrew, and another person who really impacted my life. And I came from the service industry. So out of college, I graduated education and taught high school for 1 year. And I was 22 years old teaching high school students. So it was tough. So they either wanted to be my best friend, or they didn't really want to listen because they just wanted to be too cool and they wanted to hang out on the weekends, right? So that obviously didn't work well. But more importantly, it was tough. I was in South Carolina. I stayed in South Carolina when I graduated Coastal Carolina University. Mm-hmm. And the pay's tough. And I give it out to all the teachers out there that do what they love and kind of get through the pay that they make. I think they should be making a lot more.
100% agree. Yeah,
it was tough. So I was working 7 days a week. So I'd teach Monday through Friday, and then I'd bartend on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday at my best friend's restaurant, Sushi Bar. And I was working there since college. So maybe 2 or 3 years I've been there. And then they opened up another location. I ended up going there full time. So they were looking for a general manager. So I went into the service industry for 9 years. I was a general manager for 2 prominent sushi bars in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, nightlife, right? So for 9 years. And that kind of helped me with service industry, helped me with sales, of course. I was in multi-level marketing, which also helped me. But then I had this customer who kept coming into the restaurant over and over and trying to get me into the roofing industry somehow. And it took him a while. It was Martin Pettigrew. And it was probably about a year after he first kind of came to me. I said, okay, I was looking for a change. Actually was having my first, we were almost having a child. My son was almost on the way. And I said, Martin, what do you got? What are you talking about here? You've been trying to recruit me. And now that we in the roofing industry, that's what we constantly try to do is recruit people, right?
Right.
He was going to the right spot in the service industry. I said, what do you got? And he said, man, you'd be amazing at roofing sales. And I know it. And right. And I said, okay, well, I gave it a shot. And here I am. I'm not in roofing sales anymore. We can kind of get to what do I do now, but Now I'm I'm a partner with Martin and Reeva, and I'm also the head sales coach. So that's kind of where I'm at today. But that's a quick rundown of my short life right now.
I absolutely love what you it's just kind of, we're going to get more into like what you currently are doing, like what you guys are doing, because it's incredible. But I just love the story. Like, everyone has a story, right? I always say, like, everyone has a story. Every person is we are what we are, but we have a story. And I love how you were like, I saw my mom graduate college at 32, which I have to say, though I don't know your mom, I'm genuinely super proud of her. So when next time you see her, please be like, Thais is like super proud of you. Because I'm like, my parents migrated to this country, so I kind of had that grit too, like, where we're super poor, right? We lived in the jungle, like, that's where I originally came from. We lived in Mexico, then we came to America, and like, just like saw my parents not have anything, but yet give us everything they could, right? So like, the biggest, like, they didn't have anything, but they were like incredible parents. And so I think there's just this thing that happens to, like, and you're just seeing parents and how they influence like our lives. And I think now, as we're parents, we want to be that for our children. That's kind of, I always say for us, and like our business, we're really here to help people, like business owners, be great people, because great people impact their kids, their spouses, all that stuff. So there's just like this ripple effect. And I don't know, I love the story. So awesome for your mom. I love like just, like that's
I'll actually add in a little more of that. So I remember her when I was getting home from school, she would obviously have dinner ready and everything for us. And then once we went to bed, I always remembered her going to the kitchen table to start her studying. So she started studying. There was no online classes back then, but she would start studying at night, and then she'd she'd go to class. And she'd also take night classes. But fast forward, she actually has her doctorate now. So she's a doctorate in nursing.
Stop it.
So she went to nursing and then got her master's, and now she's a doctorate in nursing at she got that in their 40s. But yeah, it's a pretty cool story. And that's one thing that pushes me nonstop. My dad has been at the same job, and now he got promoted like maybe 15, 20 years ago, but now he's at the top of it. It really is. It's awesome to see the evolution of the start to finish. And that's why I think at my life, I'm 37. A lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm kind of set. I just feel like it's just the beginning. There's so much more to do. And that's what we here at Reeva, that's what really we're pushing. I hope everyone knows that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love it. That's so motivating. Like, if you're hearing this, like, that just is an impact. Like, it does not matter. Like, I love your mom had 3 kids, like full on 3 kids, had dinner ready, and then would grind at night to get that schoolwork done. Right. And that's just like, if you want it, like, bad enough, like, you're going to do what it takes to get there. Like, no excuses. So I don't know. I just love that. Your mom is awesome. I need to have her.
You got it. I'm going to have to show her this podcast.
I'm like, can I have her on the podcast? Like, we need to have her. But very cool. So I love the persistence that you were obviously you were doing things well, right? Because you had recruiters coming after you. So like, you were doing things well. And I think it's just another example of like, you never know who your next boss is going to be, or you never know who the next person you're going to meet is going to be. So you have to do everything with excellence. Even if, like if you're selling shoes or whatever it is that you're doing, in your life, like, you never know who the next person you're going to meet is, if that's going to be your next boss or your next partner or whatever. So do things with excellence all the time. And I think you're just a prime example of that. And that's so cool to hear.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. It's kind of, and we always talk about character within Reeva, and, kind of character is doing the right thing when you think nobody's watching, right? And it always pays off. You're usually one relationship away, or you're maybe one conversation away. You never know. And I preach this to obviously all the contractors we work with and the salesmen that I coach. But you're one conversation away with maybe just a homeowner. You never know what homeowner you're dealing with. That's why I think it's such an opportunity for a roofing salesman to be in, because, yeah, of course they're selling roofs, but they're meeting so many people, and they never know who they're going to run into that could change their life. And I met, the right guy while I was working, and yeah, I made a change. And you never know. Like, we talk about roofing salesmen, maybe this is not destined for you, right? But if you put everything, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't put everything you got into it, because you never know what can happen, right? And I started in roofing sales, and now I'm coaching and educating on what I love to do, right? I'm now using my college degree, because I remember when I went into roofing, my mom's like, so you went to college and now you're not going to use it, but hey, if you think it's the right idea. But what did it turn? It turned into me now using my degree of how to educate people now into roofing sales, which I love as well. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing. I feel like we could just just literally spend this whole time just talking about.
I know. I want to keep it short because I know.
I'm like,
that's
just so good. That's just like, that's a Phil Pep. We need to bring you on again just to talk about that because literally that's just packed up story. All right. So a question for, because you kind of answered it already. Like, what made you decide to go this avenue? Obviously, you had, Martin like coming and approaching you time after time. I love his example of persistence, and like he saw in you what you probably had no idea, right? Like he saw in you like you would be amazing. Like that's just incredible, and I think that just if you're an owner, I always say like the best place to recruit. So I used to work for Nordstrom. That was like where my background started in. Like I went to college for marketing. I went and interned with them, and they would always tell us the best place to recruit people is when you're on your day to day. Like going out to eat or going wherever it is, you see exceptional people doing exceptional work, recruit them. That's like how I got getting recruited. So it's just like another example. If you're out there and you're like, man, it's really hard to find great people, like look up, like everywhere you're going, right? It's a coffee shop, whatever it is you're going, getting 7-Eleven, like if they're doing great, like have your business card ready.
You never know. Yeah. Imagine how many people are out there that don't know about maybe the roofing industry in some point. You don't have to be a salesman to be in the roofing industry. There's so many positions now that you don't have to be, a guy that loves to get on the roofs. There's estimating. There's what you guys do, right? Data admin, inside sales. There's so much to do. But imagine if leaders in this industry don't reach out or don't try to recruit in that way, right? We always try to Indeed. Yeah, there's stuff like that. But what I love to do is I love when we go out to eat, man, if I have a good server, I'm saying something, right? I'm saying something about, hey, trying to recruit them to some sort of one of our clients across the country on where it doesn't matter. We recruit for salesmen and roofing companies all across the country. So it doesn't matter, but one conversation away, never know.
So true. So powerful. Like definitely, again, if you're listening to this, like watch out, like keep your eyes out. Someone's doing exceptional work. If you're at the gas station and they're a good clerk, like, man, like that might be a great fit for your business, right? And again, there's so much in there. We're pretty new into this roofing world, right? It was not on my radar at all. We're 2 years in and we're like blown away by the industry. And like, people don't know that this is such an option that could be a huge blessing for their lives and their families' lives and so many lives. So love it. Okay, Mark, I'm so excited to have you. All right. So what are like the best resources that have helped you in your I know you mentioned like obviously your example of your mother, other things but there's something different about you. I know this is like the career path you're in, but I'm talking more about like what are the resources that have helped you develop into who you are today, which you're 37 years old, but you're so far ahead. Like you're I look at you and I know that when we're old, right? God willing, we live old and we look back at our life, we're not going to regret, but we're going to say we ran a really good race, right? Like, yeah, that's the life you're living right now. I think at people's deathbeds, they always say people are about to die. They say two things. Either they regretted life. I wish I would have done that. I wish I could have gone back. Or they say, man, I did a really good job. Or like, I messed up and this, but I'm really happy I took those risks. So I look at your life, like you're 37 years old. You're definitely on a trajectory to look back at life and be like, man, I ran a really good race, right? Like I didn't hold back. So like what resources in your life has like brought you to like where you are right now?
Awesome question. And you bring up so many good points. I think Gary Vee says, where's the place that has the most regret? You know where? Convalescent homes, right? And people in convalescent homes, and imagine what they're looking back, and hopefully a lot of them are looking back at good things, but that's something that pushes me. But oh my gosh, resources, personal development has been in my life since actually right after college. I really got into personal development, right? Personal development through YouTube. And it's no excuse nowadays. There's so much personal development out there that's free, and there's so much coaching out there that's free. And then kind of when you get to a certain level, I highly suggest, paying for a coach. But I got into multi-level marketing. I don't know if you know what that is, multi-level marketing. Yeah. So I got into multi-level marketing while I was in the service industry, and that truly was a huge impact on my life. And that brought personal development to me and that's one reason why I love roofing sales so much, because I think it's just personal development in disguise. And it's one big thing that Reeva, and I think you kind of got a little bit of that at the event. It's one thing that we push is you got to work harder on yourself than you do than your job, right? So work harder on yourself than you do your job. Jim Rohn, who's been my mentor, and he doesn't know it because first off, he's passed away, but Jim Rohn is a personal development guru who truly changed my life. I highly suggest anyone listening to this, and I've been listening to almost some of the same videos over and over, but Jim Rohn, it's work hard on yourself, because if you become a better person, no matter what, you're going to become a better employee, and you're going to make more money. I know that for a fact, right? And it's a proven system for me. So I got into multi-level marketing, and in multi-level marketing, personal development is a big push, right? And it was killer. So YouTube, right? I YouTubed everything I possibly could on how to be a better person and how to live right. We talk about character, do what you do when nobody's watching.
Right.
Martin was a big resource for me when I got into the roofing industry, right? I got lucky. I pushed a lot of personal development, but it's funny how life worked, Thais, because I already had the baseline of being a good person, right? I had the baseline of working hard on myself. And I think that's something Martin saw, hopefully, is that, no matter what, like we trained roofing sales guys in 2 weeks. And if they have the foundation of being good people and understand what it takes, it's even quicker. It's easier. But when I got into the roofing industry, Martin's mentality, and I wish I wish is this, and it's happening now, is that this industry truly understands what he's about. And he is just a leader that leads by example, right? And he'll never, in 7 years of knowing him, he has never done anything that he wouldn't do himself. And I know it's a cliche, and personal development, I feel like nowadays has become a cliche. Everyone's like, yeah, positive mindset, positive attitude. We really push that, but it's not a cliche, because I think it's what works, right? Being positive is just what works. End of story. Like I've never seen a successful leader that has been negative throughout the day. No. So it's not really a cliche. And I wish we just I just think personal development has got a bad rap because there's so much out there. You go on social media, personal development. Oh yeah, be a good person. But I just think that if people understand it's the only thing that works, like our core values, right? There's no excuses. It's just what works. So YouTube and personal development is really what steered me in the right. And of course, my family has steered me in the direction where I am at now.
Yeah, I absolutely. So you kind of hit some important things here. So it's so easy. So everyone, obviously now with technology and speed, everyone wants to be like entrepreneurship, right? Like people are like, oh, it's like, that's the cool thing to do. Like, it's not for everybody. Like it's rough, it's tough, right? But it's like, everyone thinks it's like fast speed, like personal development. It's just like, oh, I'm going to they hire a coach, or they take a thing and they just think it's watching it or listening. But it has nothing to do. It's one thing to listen and to hear, but then you got to be a doer. You got to implement. You got to, there's a Harvard case study, and the Harvard case study took all of the CEOs and literally asked and said, okay, what makes great leaders? And obviously, some were like great leaders or great listeners or great coaches or that stuff. But really, those CEOs, they succeeded 50% of the time. But CEOs that were like cheetahs, like they heard, they implemented, they moved, 100% of the time they won. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of times people think that to be great leaders, to be great at what you do, it's not just listening. It's not just attending the Reeva events. It's not just attending all of these, hiring a coach. It's actually having to implement it and take immediate action, because it gives you the momentum to keep going. And the formula for success is legit real, right? Like, you can say that in your life. I can say that in my life. It's take action, fast action, and go. And then it just gives you momentum to keep growing and building those muscles. But it's so funny because now people just think it's, listen to this. It's like, yeah, use YouTube, use Instagram, use coaches, but actually go ahead and implement it. Move forward.
Listen to it over and over. Like I've listened to the same stuff over. It just whatever you feed your brain, right? It's right. Like Jim Rohn also says, watch your coffee. Like, if you put sugar in your coffee, you put strychnine in your coffee, right? Like watch your coffee, which is watch your mind. I just constantly for literally now 15 years. There doesn't go a day go by that I don't listen to some personal development. And when I listen to it, I also take notes. So I take 15 minutes a day. It's kind of a little strategy I have. I take 15 minutes every single day. And if you're like, just 15 minutes, well, imagine 15 minutes, 7 days a week times 15 years. Imagine doing it for, and then I take notes. And then the next day before I start my next personal development, I'll highlight from the day before. So I'll highlight some of the key points from the day before, and that's literally how it gets into my brain, right? So yeah, I listen to it, I take notes, and then I highlight it. And then at the end of the month, I'll go back to the whole notebook and then and then read everything that I highlighted and then try to implement it. And you hit it on the head. Is one big thing that we're struggling with right now is when we do these events or when we do coaching, how we can get people to 100% implement it. I know we're very selfish. Like, we have maybe a 60% implementation rate on people coming to our events, but we want everybody to implement the things that they want to implement. And it's so tough. It's so tough to get people to action. And we're working on it every day to be better ourselves. We think we need to be better on how we can get people to implement the things that we teach and how to implement being a better person. So you hit it on the head. Why aren't we all billionaires? There's books on how to become a billionaire. You can go to Barnes & Noble right now, read, Zuckerberg. We can read everything. They're giving Roofing Machine. Martin wrote a book, right? Why isn't every company at $50 million right now? Because Martin gave the blueprint of how to have a start and run a company that's $50 million. People just don't implement. So you hit it on the head. Yep.
Yeah. And I, you know what they say? They say like billionaires, multimillionaires, they give away 99% of all of the facts. They give you the whole formula because they know that only 1% of the people are actually going to implement it. So it's because, that old mentality, like, don't tell people what you do because then they're going to take it and then they're going to do it and they're going to become your competitor. It's kind of like they're like, yeah, go. I only know 1% of you are going to do it. So I'm always like driven to be like, I want to be that 1%, right? And
Yep.
It's just kind of like, let's be that 1%. You're listening to this podcast, like, get up, like, be that 1%. Be that, like, 60%, like what you said that you guys have implementation rate. That's a very high percentage. Yeah. Very high. I know you guys are like, we want 100%. But if you know the industry, like actually these events, like I think the percentage rate of implementation, if the studies and all that, I think it's definitely like around 20, 30. That's even a high number. So 60 for Reeva, you guys are kicking ass.
Yeah, the events are probably a lot lower, but when we actually work with a company head on, we spend 3 months with them. So of course we can try to get higher rate, and even that's not. But yeah, it's funny how you say that. Because even our social media managers or our marketing, when they're doing videos, they're setting up videos, and they're like, well, we don't want to use that because it kind of gives that secret away. I say, guys, share everything. It doesn't matter. And they're like, why? They said, because on social media alone, of course, only 1% of people are ever going to actually implement or listen to the strategies that we're actually telling them. And you hit them in the head, and then now they blast away on everything. So
it's crazy because people are like, a lot of them are like, oh yeah, I just heard it. They think about it, they don't implement it. Only 1% will ever implement it. So it's like give value, share value, and that's what you guys are doing. So I love it. Love it. Okay, awesome. I'm like, seriously, I could talk to you about like all these 2 topics for forever. All right, so what is a common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
It's a good question. Really good question. And we have a lot of myths that I think we debunk with Reeva. And I think if you've heard of Reeva, if you followed Reeva along, we have a different model. So we teach and push a different model of roofing sales. And how that came about is, so I was in roofing sales for about 3 or 4 years. And actually, I'm sorry, only at that time, I was only in roofing sales probably about 2 to 3 years. And I had a high success rate. So I sold, I was the first one in Monarch Roofing, which is obviously a large business. The first one to sell over $5 million in 1 year. But after that year, I actually left the industry. So January of 2019, I left the industry because I was so burnt out. So I was pushing pretty hard. And the way roofing sales and the roofing model is set up now is the salesman does everything. It seems like, right? Mm-hmm. Throughout the country, if you go to 90% of the companies, the roofing salesman does everything, estimating, inside sales, data admin, all the awesome things that you do, which that's why we love your company so much, is because we firmly believe in you have the answer to a process. We really do. Man, why would the sales guys set up appointments or do all the data admin work that companies like you guys can do, or they can hire internally to do? Mm-hmm. The good thing part about you is companies can't really afford hiring people internally, so they have an option for you. It's one big reason why we really believe in what you do. But when they do get to a size, we feel like if we deviate some of the procedures in a sales process that the salesman has, it's going to make them a lot more successful. And it's going to get them from burning out, because we see it all across the country. We see salesmen burning out, or we see salesmen in and out of the industry, and I was one of them. So it's one big passion of mine is what we do now is roofing salesmen can be W-2. Here's the short. That's what I was saying. The myth of the roofing industry is that you have to have a 1099 roofing salesman. And I can promise you with all my heart, there is a model out there that allows your salesman to be W-2, which is salary, and still run a successful business. All of Monarch Roofing is W-2. We've implemented to over 15 companies across the country into a W-2 model. There's a lot of other companies that haven't worked with us that have a W-2 model. So I'd say the biggest myth is that you must pay a salesman 1099 and the salesman must do everything. We actually think it's the opposite, and we think that salesmen should only focus on the major time of sales, which is in the presence of a prospect. I want someone that is good at talking to people in front of as many people as possible. I don't want them picking up the phones, answering production questions. I don't want them dropping off samples after a contract is sold, right? I don't want them driving across town when they don't need to be. I want them in front of as many people as possible. And that's the model that we push. So W-2 salesman over 1099, it is possible.
Oh, I love that one because that is definitely a myth, like in the industry, right? Everyone's like, yeah. So I will have to say, what you're saying here is you're saying it's just kind of, if you read the Googles, if you read the multi-billion-dollar companies, the Apples, what they always say is when you hire people, you hire them so that they can work in their sphere of genius, because that is where the magic happens. Right, that is where the growth happens, right? So when they're able to work in their sphere of genius, they are happier at their job. Their retention rate is so much higher. They are happier with their life, and they're more committed to your company. They're on the mission to so being a W-2 employee, that is like, for a company that's going, hey, your skill set is sales. And we want you to literally do your magic. And we're going to take off the things that you hate. Like, for example, I love sales, right? That's my thing. I love that. That's when I built this company, I said, I'm not going to be able to build a company because I hate doing a lot of things that I'm really bad at, right? So immediately when I built the company, I just started bringing on people to my team that were way better than me and had the skill sets in areas that I suck at. And that I could just focus on my sphere of genius, which is I love people, right? But anyways, it's kind of what you guys are saying. You're saying, hey, when you're bringing on a sales individual, let them do what they're great at, because the return on investment is going to be huge. Take care of them. Salespeople don't like admin. We hate admin.
Can't stand it. It's what got me out of the industry. Is the admin.
Yeah, we hate admin. Like, on top of your being doing sales, then I'm going to have to go to the back end and do all the admin, make sure that things got done. Like, I become then a project man, like an admin, having to do all these tedious tasks. So I'm actually more frustrated most of the time than passionate about my job. So, like, you guys have created this formula where you're saying, hey, you're passionate and you're really gifted at that. Be great at it. We're going to then put the right people that are really good at admin. That's kind of what we built our company. We're obsessed with admin. We love it, right? We do the admin for you so that you as an owner do your sphere of genius, and then your team does the sphere of genius, and then there you see the momentum and growth. So I think it's incredible. Like, if you're listening to this, like, I highly recommend you look at the facts, look at Reeva, look at Monarch, look at, just even look into Google, like all these big companies. That is what they do. They hire talented people. They give them the tools to succeed, and then they let those people do their magic. And I'm telling you, your ROI is going to be tenfold. 100%.
You hit it. Putting people in the right spot, they talk about having a seat on the bus, putting in the person in the right seat in the bus. And I think it's a scary thing for a lot of roofing contractors, because it's been the same model for I don't know how many years, right? I've only been in the industry for about 7 years, but it's the only model I ever see, right? It's the only model I ever see. It's one big thing why I'm so passionate. And it's one big thing that Reeva does. We guide contractors, and it's our mission, guide contractors to give the homeowner what they deserve the best. And we do that through roofing contractors. And Monarch's mission is giving homeowners what they deserve the best. So we have the same mission. Now we're just like kind of on an upper scale to kind of work with contractors. Now we can kind of spread it a little bit faster than just Monarch. So you hit it on the head, on the right bus, what they're good at.
Yeah, it's the formula for success. Literally, like you guys, like a $50 million company, Monarch Roofing, like those, like. What are the Googles, the Apples, like what did they do? And this is literally what they did. this is what they did. So find the right people, put them on the right seats, like you said, and take good care of them. And then get people that are really good at other stuff that the salespeople don't like to do. Make that, like, have them more help. And it becomes this amazing machine. You guys are a roofing machine. And that's what we're an admin machine, for roofing machines, right? So very cool. I love it. Love it. Okay, cool. And we're going to kind of wrap it up pretty soon here. I have, so for you guys, like, let's talk about Reeva, okay? Who is like your ideal client? Like, how, if a listener is listening to this podcast and they're like, okay, I want to know more, like, what is Reeva? Like, why they should be, like, who would be the ideal person, candidate for you guys to work with? And like the value of working with you guys, like, if you could share more about that.
100%. Yeah. So who to work with? It could be a company from zero all the way to, obviously, we work with a lot of larger companies. We're looking for growth-minded contractors that want to do, want to do a little bit different on the way we were talking about, right? Mm-hmm. On a way to kind of set up a roofing machine rather than have an owner and then a bunch of 1099 salesmen running around, maybe have a production coordinator somewhere. But it's amazing how many contractors we see that we say, oh, awesome. Who are your employees? They say, well, it's just me and then maybe 2 people in the office, and then we have 35 salesmen. And we know that 35 salesmen is all 1099. So the perfect contractor for us is just somebody that's growth minded, that wants to do something a little bit different and actually have a solid business model rather than just the owner and 1099 salesman. We also do a lot of inside, outside sales. So I know a lot of people are ask about that. We make it, and that's kind of a little bit what we talk about. We push and we teach companies on how they can use companies like you to take some of the sales activities away from the salesman. So Martin came up, has been working on the 8 pillars of a business, a roofing business, and it would be here forever if I started talking about the 8 pillars. But we teach the 8 pillars, which all starts with marketing, hiring the right people, and then having processes, procedures. But really, if you need a process and you need procedures to follow in a roofing business and you actually want a true business model, we are for you, for sure. And you want to be better people and you want to work harder on yourself than you do your job, we're for you.
So pretty much what you're saying is, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to really be a true business owner, right? Because a real business owner is one that can walk away sometimes from their business and it does not fall apart, right? A true business owner is one that can, the machine is still going to function if you're not present, right? Because you've built a team that believes in your mission, that believes in what you're doing, that has a calling, that has the processes and procedures, that has becomes the machine internally. So as a business owner, you can go to do what you really started your business for, which is financial freedom and freedom of time. You can actually go to that baseball game, football game with your kids and not be stressing that you're like, did we get everything done correctly, or like what's going on? So you guys are pretty much saying you come in and you walk alongside them and you help them through the journey to really create, you help them get where they want to get much faster. They can get where they want to get.
We help them build their own machine. And of course, we take the machine that we have built and we we implement it into their business. And then we obviously we alter some of the things that work for them better. So it's not like you either do our model or not. It's we take our model, we implement it. We get your team a process and a structure to follow, because I think that's one of the biggest problems with the roofing industry is you ask every single employee in one company and they're all looking different ways, right? One of our big things is try to get all the butterflies flying in the right direction. So that's one big thing that we do, but we just add structure and a process to a business for sure. You hit it on the head.
I love it. So you're not like, hey, here's a franchise. That's not it at all. No. What you're doing is, hey, this works. We're going to help you with the formula. We're going to walk with you as well. We're going to be there to walk with you, help you, but we're also going to customize this to your DNA. Because every roofer has their own DNA. They have their own style, right? And so you're helping them with their DNA, with all of those aspects. But really what you're helping them is really become those professionals that they want to become. And it
includes documents. So we have over 300 documents that we provide for companies. So of course, documents that work because they come from Monarch Roofing. So we really take the Monarch Roofing machine model and implement it with including the documents, and we just obviously customize it to their company. So it's such an awesome value, and it's something that we love to do. So
I freaking love it. Okay, so let's say someone's like, I 100% need this. If you're listening to this, and I'm telling you, you can get to where they are by yourself, 100%. But why take much longer if you can literally take a shortcut that will get you there way faster, right? Like, this is the shortcut to get to where you're dreaming of being. So if they're interested and they're like, hey, Mark, I want to know more, like, where do they need to reach out to? What should they do?
Yeah, and I don't know if they can scan this. I don't know if they'll get the video, but they can scan that.
Okay,
and then
perfect.
Also they can go to ReevaShop.com. So
okay.
ReevaShop.com, if they go to ReevaShop.com, they actually we do free 15-minute discovery calls. And this is where we kind of qualify clients, because we do want to qualify them. We do have a lot of clients that say they want to do the right thing, but end up wanting a different avenue. So we do qualify them. So it takes 15 minutes to kind of pop on a call with us and see if we're the company that fits for you, right? And then there's a lot of coaching out there, and there's a lot of great coaching out there. And we just want to make sure that it mutually fits. So ReevaShop.com. Also, you can get a free gift. The first thing that pops up is a free gift that you can get. And then there's also a 15-minute discovery button to learn more about what we do and possibly have a conversation about how we can work together.
I love it. So ReevaShop.com. We're going to put all that information in the comments below as well. Cool. And cool. Is there any social media that you want listeners to maybe follow you on?
I think most of our biggest social media is Instagram. So Reeva_Impact at Instagram. We put out a lot of content for sure. We do 3 or 4 posts a day. And
they're awesome.
Facebook as well, Reeva Impact on Facebook. And then, of course, LinkedIn, Reeva Impact. But yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. I love it. Mark, I seriously don't want to downplay
awesome.
this, but you seriously have been one of my favorites. So
I appreciate it so much.
I know. So all our other listeners, literally.
I'm going to listen to all your podcasts. I'll make sure that you don't say that to everybody.
No, I haven't said it to anyone, actually. So you're
I appreciate you having me on. It's an awesome conversation, and we'd love to get together and work together in any way we can. We'll let you know our next event, but we'd love to have you. So thank you so much.
No, thanks so much. Mark, again, tell your mom we're really proud of her. And Mark, we're so thankful for you coming. And everyone, go to ReevaShop.com and definitely work with Reeva. All right.
Thank you so much,
everyone.